Hey, what's up, y'all? We're doing a Mordhau weapons tier list today. I have, what, 6 tiers here? I'll probably add a few, just because I feel like it. 7 tiers, I can't count for shit. Basically, S, this is for the best weapons, and, just best items in the game. A, pretty good. B, whatever. C is average. D is a little below average. F is pretty bad. And this is reserved for one specific weapon that I really fucking hate. All right, so let's start it off with the arming sword. Arming sword's honestly just a B tier weapon because I don't give a fuck about it. I could care less. It it's a pretty cool weapon if you're going for like especially a roleplay build. You can get it on a lot of different classes. If you want to be a fucking Viking, I'll put its pair, the axe, up next. They're both very good sidearms, um, and they can work as a primary pretty well. So I don't see any problems with them. They're just good weapons. Bardiche. This is gonna be our first S tier because I fucking love the Bardiche. And this is not this is not ranked objectively on how good the weapon is. This is I should lay out the criteria right now. Um, how good the weapon is obviously a factor. How fun it is to use, how fair it is to play against, and my personal opinion, of course. So Bardiche, there's a lot of counterplay to the Bardiche. It's not an animation abuser. It doesn't have ungodly fast excels. It does have fast excels, not ungodly fast. Yeah, it's not overly unfair to play against, and it's not cancerous. So it goes in that S tier. Bastard sword. I've seen a few bastard swords builds that have made me want to unalive a few times. Especially with some of the animation abuse that can come with its left overhand swing because of the cross side attack. But it's still a relatively fair weapon, I'd say. Battle axe is a tier weapon. Don't think it needs much explanation. It's a very fun to use, and it's relatively easy to play against. If you're not careful, you can get fucking destroyed, but it's not unfair. Bill hook, S tier. I don't need to say anymore. This is probably the most fair weapon to play against, in my opinion. And it also has a cool feature where you pull people off their horses and do all that shit. Buckler is D tier because it's kind of cancerous in some builds. I've taken it out of all my builds because I decided to be not cancerous. Cleaver, cool sidearm, A tier. I don't really need to explain it. It can run as its own primary. It's a good weapon. No real problems with it. I think the dagger and the dagger. I mean, it goes in the rest of the sidearms. It's nothing really to say about it. It's a good weapon, good sidearm. Archers use it a lot. No real opinion. The rapier, it used to be like here, but over the years they balanced it more, so it's here because you can still use it if you're good enough. But it's not so oppressive that like if you know how to use it, there's no counterplay. Evening Star, because I personally love the weapon, but it also has very small windows for counterplay. It's got a lot of animation abuse in it, and its repeated feint animation is a bit annoying, and it leads to a lot of like even better intermediate players panic parrying instead of chambering. I'm gonna put it in B because of that, but there still is counterplay. It's just not as prevalent as like battle axe counterplay. Executioner sword is S tier, very good. Um, but if you catch someone and if someone misses, they're fucked. Which that's just a huge window for counterplay. Same, I'm gonna do this preemptively with the maul. It's a very good weapon if you hit some, especially like against noobs who are not expecting that head damage. Because as soon as they get hit in the head with this shit, they're dead. Falchion. Falchion is one of my favorite weapons, which is why it's ranked so high. But overall, in terms of its usefulness, it's not a great primary. I'd actually argue that Cleaver's a little better because with Cleaver you can run a scavenger build, or you can turn your build into a scavenger. With Falchion, you kind of can't grab tank and have still some good perks. So, and you also want to be a little more mobile with the Falchion, which makes it a little more awkward nowadays. But it's still a good weapon, especially in 1vx, where you'll just be constantly accelerating, dragging, mashing your fucking keyboard. Falx goes right here. No explanation needed. Frying pan is right next to it. I'll even organize these tiers afterwards, but that's just preemptive. We'll put the shields actually in their own tier. We'll just we'll add like buckler is still gonna stay where it is because fuck the buckler. Wait, no. I just changed the name of this C tier. Shields. Just put them all here. The Targe, and I don't know if they removed the Targe or something. I haven't seen it recently. This is a bit of an older list, so I haven't seen it a lot, and I don't use it in any of my builds. But whatever. Great sword. I'll wait to rank that. Throwing axe and javelin should probably go in this. Actually, throwing axe and throwing knives are probably going to end up going in the same tier. I think they're both going to end up in B tier. I have a few issues with the javelin, which I'll talk about in a moment. But the throwing axe and throwing knife are both situationally very good. You have to be in that correct situation. It's like how the arming sword and the axe are both in certain situations very good, because they can work really well with some builds. I haven't found those particular builds, but I've seen them work. And I'm too lazy to study those other builds. But overall, I think that they're both very good weapons. Javelin is going to go in D tier though, because fuck the javelin. I don't like that it can one shot level 2 armor. It's the only weapon I believe that can one shot second level armor, which is crazy to me. Unless you're holding a bow, which, let's be honest, nobody does if they're wearing level 2 armor. The javelin is just dumb. I don't care that it costs 9 points. You can easily make a build with 3 javelins and get still almost full plate. It's just bullshit. All right, let's go to the greatsword finally. The greatsword I'd put around a C tier. It's a good weapon. It's a pretty good weapon, but I wouldn't ever really play entirely around it. And the counterplay, people who are really good at the greatsword are annoyingly good at the greatsword. They decide to make it unfun. It's a weapon where if you put in a fuck ton of time, you'll be amazing. But you'll be amazing because you're kind of abusing the animations instead of amazing because you're just good at reading other people. I guess that's why a lot of these weapons are up here, because all of these require you to know how to read other people instead of just animation abuse. To an extent, animation abuse, but not that much. That's why it's not lower. And some animation abuse, but this is the cheese weapon, so we'll get some more animation abuse weapons later on. I'm gonna put the halberd in B tier. I've seen it grow a lot in popularity recently, but I don't know why. Maybe it got some buffs. I have not paid attention to Mordhau actively in a while. Um, yeah, I've seen it grown for some reason recently a lot. I don't know why. I think it's a cool weapon, especially in terms of if you're running a bloodlust build and this just falls right in front of you, you're gonna have a fun time afterwards. But overall, I consider it's a good weapon. That's about it. It's got some nice excels. The drags are there, I guess. Not great, but not bad. Heavy hand axe. I want to use this more because it is damn good. It's got the pull axe thing where you can switch it around. You can stab with it. It's just overall a really good weapon. It's a smaller version of the pull axe. People compare it to the axe, battle axe. No, these two are in a family. This is the awkward cousin, and this is that guy's dad right here. Speaking of its dad, we're gonna put the poleaxe in A tier. No, fuck no, actually, pull the poleaxe in C tier. Um, poleaxe, too much abuse of the animations. Again, you're not reading people. You're just underhand feinting, overhand feinting, underhand feinting, overhand feinting. While they're in third person, which I hate people who play in third person. So please stop allowing that. I think it's dumb. Oh wait, maybe this isn't the rape. Wait a minute. Is this the rapier? They look the same. I don't know. I don't care. If I miss a weapon, so be it. The comment section might let me know, or they won't. I won't care. Um, right. Let's go to the longbow. I don't know why the recurve and crossbow aren't here. The longbow goes in F tier because of the sheer amount of shitters who like are sniping with a longbow. Like I'm fine with someone using recurve bow to just fuck around and shoot Legolas, fire constant, whatever. You're not gonna ever kill anyone with that. But the longbow does too much damage. And does too much damage where it shouldn't do damage. Like I'm getting hit square in the chest with the longbow while in full plate. You know what that does? It doesn't do shit. Alright, anyways, longsword. Or at least in real life it won't do shit because well it's a longbow. It's an arrow. It typically won't kill anyone unless it hits between the armor cracks. And a lot of more flimsy projectiles and whatnot generally didn't kill people who were wearing full plate. I could be bullshitting, but also we didn't manufacture armor because of the longbow. We manufactured armor because of the crossbow. We had short bows for a while, and they'd kill unarmored people, but generally in heavier armor, only a crossbow would ever fucking kill you. And eventually, when the crossbows phased out and were replaced by guns, we didn't need armor anymore. Guns could just pierce everything. But yeah, most of the kills that were scored with longbows in history, typically between the slits in the armor rather than directly in like the chest itself. That's more of a Mordhau physics problem than it is like a problem with the weapon itself. But I just don't like the weapon because it's what all the tryhard archers use. Because noob archers, or at least the funny ones, the ones that didn't come from COD, the ones that are playing Mordhau just to fuck around, or using the recurve bow. All right, longsword goes in A tier. I think it has some of the best counterplay in um fuck. Oh, this is the S stock. I'll get back to the longsword in a second. This is the fucking S stock. Fuck the S stock. This isn't what fuck you is for, but I fucking hate the S stock. It's a dumb sword. It's just the rapier. Where's the rapier? Wow, we're gonna put the rapier in C tier. I already talked about it. Fuck the S stock. It's just the rapier, but two-handed, which is a highly impractical sword. It's dumb. I hate it. It's dumb. I don't like that the S stock is like the longsword where you can um, flip it over. But this is like this flimsy sword. This thing will literally shatter if you bend it a little too much. And that won't happen with the rapier. The rapier is a little shorter. But this is the same thickness as the rapier, but a lot longer, which means there's a lot less structural soundness. So if you like break it over your knee, you're gonna fucking break the sword. It's dumb. I hate the S stock. Moving on. Mace. Or fuck, let's get back to the longsword. Longsword, a lot of counterplay. It's the introductory weapon. A lot of people like it. It was before they replaced the knight build with the greatsword. It's what most of the new players would use because they'd play knight. I really like it. It's a cool weapon. It's got amazing skins, and it works a lot with different perks. Mace. This is a personal bias thing, but I did lay out criteria, so we're gonna have to put it here. If it was just my personal ranking of what I like, yes, but it's not. We're gonna put it in B tier because, oh, holy shit, I cannot fucking sometimes deal with the mace spammers who do the same thing that people do with the Evening Star, where they just look down at you, go into third person to see if you faint, and just spam you over and over with overhead attacks. It's dumb because if it was a real medieval battle, you know what you do to that guy? You'd fucking pick him up, like you grab under his rib or like grab him by the fucking titties and the breastplate, and you flip him over, and you just start stabbing him. That's just what you do. It's dumb. I hate it. I hate the way people who play like that. But the mace itself is a pretty cool weapon. Skins are awesome. I know we weren't bringing in skins, but I I am now because my opinion. That's why the Fox is S tier, and the rest of the reasons. But I think the mace as a weapon is pretty cool as that like easy to buy primary bludgeoning weapon, and it's kind of a noob crusher like them all as well, which that's nice. We need we don't need more noob crushers in the game because we have a lot of them. The Maul is basically a noob crusher. Um, I'd argue Warhammer is even a noob crusher. Great sword, long sword, all noob crushers. Even War Axe to an extent. They all beat the people who are not entirely familiar with how their timing and the weapon itself works. So yeah, the mace thankfully isn't a noob crusher. It works just as good against experienced players. I've known because I've played against experienced players and done fine with it. I just think it's overall a good weapon, but I don't think it's entirely deserving, despite my opinion, of being an S tier or A tier for that matter. All right, the Messer is next. Some animation abuse makes this a problematic weapon, but I wouldn't say it's F tier, and it's definitely not fuck you. I think one-handed Messer is a little bit of a problem. Two-handed's a little less so. One hand with shield though is surprisingly less of a problem than just one-handed. I think there's a few reasons for that. I think that when you have a shield in your hand, your animations change a little bit. I could be wrong, but it's just what it feels like. And people are more used to dealing with people with shields when they have a one-handed weapon, because they'll just think, oh, this is like the mace, this is like the heavy hand axe, this is like the warhammer, which we haven't gotten to yet. But overall, I think it's an okay weapon. It's a beast of a weapon. It fucking does way too much damage. It's way too goddamn cheap. But I do think it has some animation abuse problems, and I like using it, but I also feel like a scumbag when I use it. It feels unfair to play against. I feel like a huge scumbag for using it. The Warhammer. Fuck this weapon. Fucking hate this weapon. Whoever designed the Warhammer, I am coming for you. Fuck you, bro. You are the worst fucking human being I've ever met. I've never met you. That's why you're not dead yet. Anyways, I've made a whole segment in Mordhau hot takes about this and why it sucks. All right, scimitar. Because old scimitar would be down here because it was way too fast, and if you got one hit off, it was like the fucking carving knife, but it interrupted your attacks. So I put new scimitar in C tier. It should be right next to the rapier because they both had the same problem where they were too spammable. But now they're all right. I'd say just it's like the rapier but for slashing. Short spear. See, I'd be fine if this one shot level 2 heads because it's your primary weapon. But I'd say short spear is B. It's just like the mace. I think it's cool in roleplay builds, and I personally like it. That's why it's being boosted up, as opposed to where it probably should be in around C tier. I think it's cool and it looks awesome with kite shields and targes or round shields or whatever the fucking the one I'm talking about. The round shield. Sorry, I didn't mean targes. I know targes are still in the game. I've seen them. A fucking Captain America to some people. But round shield I haven't seen recently for some reason. Anyways, it looks pretty cool with certain shields, and I think that as a throwable, it works a lot better than a javelin because you only get one of it. and it's not replenishable. You can't go to a crate. You have to go pick it up or find a new weapon, which makes it a lot more balanced than a javelin. Short sword goes next to the rest of the sidearms, just in B tier. Nothing really to say about it. Let's see. Spear. Ooh, this is a tough one because some people with spears are absolute losers. And just some people are role players and just walk up as a line, which is pretty dope until you get destroyed. Some people with spears are kind of chill and they really don't do much. And then there are the horse spear players, which I have a mixed opinions about because I love doing it, but I also hate it, which makes me a huge hypocrite. So I'm just going to put them with all these mixed emotions at C because there are a lot of supporters and a lot of haters. And you gotta admit, if you're a supporter or hater, some of those skins are pretty cool. And you know you've loved playing a spear before. War Axe, S tier. A lot of counterplay. Very good weapon. Wouldn't really say there's anything wrong with it. I mean, it's funny now that you can throw it, which is I think is awesome. Warhammer. Warhammer used to be a lot more broken. Now it's just the animations that are broken, which almost makes me hate it a little more. But I've used it a lot recently, and I've gotten very good results, which makes me hate myself because I know everyone else on the other team is just fucking panic parrying infinitely. I'm really gonna rush through it because honestly, I think that the alt grip for the Warhammer is pretty OP, but the regular grips, whatever. And the final one is the Zweihander. If you ask noob me what this would be, it'd be here. Sorry, here. If you ask now me, it's a pretty shitty weapon. Like, it sucks balls at doing shit. Unless you fucking abuse the animation. If you want to play it straight Zweihander like you'd play a Maul or War Axe where you're double parrying, triple parrying, whatnot, you can't do that anymore. You have to look for duels and you have to spam the shit out of it like the fucking Evening Star. Only this isn't the Evening Star, in which the Evening Star guy is right in your fucking grill, making it so you're going to panic parry a little more. But these guys are noob exploiters, and because I suck, me exploiters too, which means they're far away doing that shit. And you know what's not fun about that? That means you're killing newer players to the game, or people who are trying to fucking get into the game a little faster. It's very annoying, and usually it's not like the really fucking experienced players, like the 300s and 400s that are doing this. It's like the 219s, the 220 levels that are just absolutely trying to ramp up their score and just absolutely spamming the shit out of this Zweihander. It's so fucking annoying. It's dumb. Like, yeah. And they're specifically targeting like the worst players in the team. Because our 220s and 219s are typically just running around and fighting the actually like the 80s, 90s, 100s. And they'll have a few of them on their side too who are doing that same thing. And those ones are the chill ones. But then there are these assholes with the fucking Zweihander who are just running around looking for duels with either newer players or players that are not as good at the game and just absolutely shitting on them and inflating their score. It's very annoying. I've had some of these guys on my team and I've played against a lot of these guys, and it's not fun to deal with, but it's not really the fault of the weapon itself. More so how people use it, but it would be nice to get a little bit of a change for the animations for the Zweihander. But overall, this is my tier list. I think it's a pretty good fucking tier list, personally. I know a lot of people won't agree with me with my stock, and only people with bad opinions disagree with me on Polehammer. So most people can agree with me on this. People will disagree with me on S-Stock. That's totally fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just don't like it because of like physics and logic. The rest of the tier list, though, Mordhau has a lot of good weapons. In order to truly be a bad weapon, you have to make me not like you, be a little bit overtuned, kind of have some dumb animations, be bullshit, and be fucking bullshit. This is stupid. Please remove the Polehammer for the love of God from the game. That's the conclusion of this video. I'll see you all next time. Bye.